it's Linda from Bohemia Inspirations, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. Today, we are going to look at putting together signatures for badge journaling. That's bullet, art, and junk journaling, which is what I love to do. I'm a writer, I love to do art, so I never can stick to one type of journaling. One of the things I love, and I've mentioned this before, is having a hard cover, because when I am journaling, I really like to be able to write on all sides of my pages and have that good support, especially when I'm having a thick journal like this one here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is probably at least 3 inches thick, and it's going to fill up with all kinds of things. So today we're going to look at how to make these hard covers, how to put a binding on them, and get your signatures spaced out so you have room to start filling these journals that you're making. Let's begin. So one of the first things I love about making covers is I love using, well, for all journals really, I love using what we have. And as you guys know, I live in the far north, not by any stores. So I'm literally just scouring our one thrift store and our one tiny dollar store and my computer, because that's all I have really. And one of the things that I do love is at our thrift store, I buy these old board books. Now, my kids used to have thousands of these when they were little. They are really sturdy. If you want a super thick cover, you can glue 2 together and you have a fantastic front and back cover. And that's exactly what we're going to use today. Now, I have some signatures that are ready to go that I have pulled together from our workshop last week. I did a video on how to take 5 digital pages and make them into 25 or more, and these are the pages we created last week, and they are going to go into this new journal. But first we're going to make the cover, because that really is step 1. So I have a board book here, pieces that it was wrecked, and I like to recycle as much as I can. So what I did, this was such a good book. I had lots of memories here. So one of the things that I did was the book was a little bit too big. I wanted my journaling pages to be just the right size and have a little bit of book over the edge. One of the things that I did was I cut down my board book a little bit so that it would fit the size of signature page that I wanted. And my signature pages are just the same as the paper that we created last week. It's just a regular 8.5 by 11 that I folded over, and ta-da, there's my signature pages. You can often find board books this size. So what I do with them is I cut them, and they are very easy to cut. I have damage in my hands from a diving accident where I broke my neck, and I have very weak hands. I am nervous about cutting things, and I can tell you, if I can do this, you can do this. Let me just show you how easy it is. I cut these to the size of my signature, and then they did have a rounded corner on one side. You'll see books do, but then often on the other side they don't. And if you're cutting it, it also won't. So I like to have this look on all 4 of my corners. What I did was I simply take my board book and I line up one of the other corners that it normally would have. And I'm using this Fisker cutter. You can use any kind of cutter. My daughter gave this to me. She wasn't using it, so I actually never bought it, but it does work really, really good for this. So you're just going to score once around the edge just to make your line, and then you're going to just go a couple times over it till it pops off, and it really won't take very much effort. I'm just going to go a couple times here. Same thing when you're cutting your edges. Now look how easy that was. The same thing is when you're cutting your card cover smaller. Just use a ruler. It doesn't have to be a metal one, but then you just simply score down here a couple times, and then you can bend it, and it will pop that right off. Now that this is scored, I'll just put my little fiskars away. One of the things that I like to do on the edges, because it's a little bit rough, is I just take an old emery board, and we'll use this a few more times. There, I have to get a better grip. But these little books sand really, really well with an emery board. Now look how nice that is. Oh. There, look how nice that is. Now they look all the same. When we're putting our covers together, I'm going to set this aside for 1 minute, and we're going to look at what are we going to do on these covers. As I mentioned before last week, in last week's video, we did some pages that we created from digital pages in my store at Bohemia Inspirations. If you pop into Bohemia Inspirations, you can pick up pages there for 99 cents that you can make 30, 25, whatever. You can make a lot of different designs from those pages. These are the pages we made in last week's video, and I'm going to use them to make this journal for my friend. And I've decided to make this the front cover, and of the pages we created, I think I will make this the back cover. I like that there. Yeah, or do I like it this way better? Front, back? No, this way. Okay, front cover, back cover. Front cover, back cover. All right. Now that we have these picked out, I'm not going to put them on yet. We are going to wait and now get our signatures ready. But it is good to know what you're going to do on your front and back cover. Now, one of the things that I do, I want to show you. This is just Avery basic labels. I print out my digital pages often on label paper. These peel and stick on to your covers so very nicely. And as you can see here, that's exactly what I did with this cover that is already pre-made. And then you can sand them, I ink it. It just turns out absolutely beautiful. So we're going to put these away for now, and let's look at signatures. So we have our signatures, and this is a coffee dyed page from the pages in my store. And of course, these are all writable spaces, and I will be decorating this later. So we're not going to worry about decorating today. We're just going to look at assembling. This is a page we created, but I accidentally printed it off twice, so it got this very moody double layered look, which I love. And that is another thing you can do. You can double print your pages to create these looks of vellum and overlay, and they're very beautiful. Now, what I also did was I created a little white space for writing, so because I like to write, so there'll probably be pockets and writing things available. And this is going to be my center spread. Again, these pages were created in our last video up for all of you to see. Yeah, and what I do is I double print my pages. So this is basically an 8.5 by 11 that I printed on the front, printed on one side, took my pages out, flipped them all over, printed it again. And now I've just folded them, done little cuts, and we're going to actually walk our way through that right now. So this is just, I think I must have 6 pages in this signature, which is plenty for one signature because it's going to get full. And then on this one, what did I do here? I try to keep with the same idea so that I have a coffee dyed then a regular page, and then my double-sided pages together in the center spread, because that looks really good when you're flipping through your journal. Oops. Yeah, so there we go. That's what we're going to make today with our signatures, and then we're going to actually assemble them all just like on the bottom of this journal, and we're going to make it with a nice wide enough spine. We're not going to make a 3-inch journal today, but we probably will make a 1-inch journal today. Okay, so the pages that I chose for this next set of signatures are just as I mentioned to you before. There's pages that we did in the tutorial from last week. We designed these, and then if you flip it over, here are some more that I designed from the tutorial last week. So you can check that video out. I'll put the link in the show notes. And this is just such a simple way to make great signatures. There you go. Now, I also had this from a different journal that I was making, so it's like a scrap extra. These are from my coffee dyed pages in my store as well, and I'm going to use this for my outside page. Then I'm going to use this printed page that I just happen to have on hand that someone gave me, probably my daughter or my mom, and I'm going to make this my next set of pages with, of course, these as the center. So let's begin. Okay, so I'm going to start by folding my signatures in half. Let me see, is that an outside or an inside page? I think that is inside. So it's going to go this way. And I just try to make sure that when I'm putting my signatures together that my pages are kind of pretty and that I like them. And I don't worry too much if I'm going to run out of writing space. I just go with the actual pictures, prints, whatever that I like. I'm going to use this as my template, and we're going to scoot up to the top. Actually, I'm going to trim it slightly first. And when I get the base signatures in that I really, really like, then I go and I decide if I want it to be a writing page or an art journal or some other kind of page. Oops, I'm just going to tuck this guy in here. I'm going to just use this one to make a couple of little, there. Use my pencil. And we'll just cut this nicely. And I didn't always have a little trimmer like this. Someone did give it to me a long time ago. And as I said, I don't live close by a store, so often I find that, you know, I can't get things easily and replacements. So when this little guy gets dull, I just put a little piece of tin foil there and I run it over a couple times and it sharpens it really nicely. So there's a little tip. Okay, so now we can see that this is perfect. Now I just have to round the corners, but first, before I do that, now I'm going to take the rest of the pages that I have and cut them to this size. So let's do that. We have, what do we have? 4 pages. So this signature is going to have 8 spreadable pages. There we go. Perfect. Very nice. All right. Now the next step we're going to do is to get all of our corners rounded. And I'm just going to use the corner rounder, and I'm going to use the 10mm rounder. But if you don't have this, easily you can just take your cover template, put it on the edge, make a little mark and just cut it with your scissors. That's what I did before. I actually did go buy this, It must have been on sale and I must have been in the city at one time. So it's actually, it is a handy little one to get and it's so easy to use. Just clip. Oop. And if you find that it's not working that great there, I'm going to give it one more. Haha. Sometimes when you have your pages doubled like this, it wants to give a smidgy of the page gets stuck in a different area because they're not joined. But just flip them over and they go really nice. There we go. Our signatures are starting to look awesome. So let's just round all the rest of these and then we'll move on. Oh, there's another one. We'll just flip it around. There. See how easy that works? I guess you could flip your page too. Ha! There. That's looking lovely. Another one out of the way. Oops. I better make sure I do the right one. There we go. Beautiful. And this is purposefully lightened for writing areas. As I said before, I'm a badge journaler. Sometimes I will draw, I will write, I will add little bits of memory cards, all kinds of things, and journaling cards. And sometimes I will bullet journal and have pull-out tabs which have tracker items on them for me, especially drinking water is one of them. And just anything that I really need. Grocery lists, sometimes I'll have tabs that you can rip off so you can take a grocery list with you. There, okay, our signature pages look beautiful. Okay, so one of the things that I like to do before I put my signatures together, not always, but it depends on the look I'm doing. And with this particular book, I am pre-inking my pages before I stick them into the signature. So basically what I think I'm going to use this time is this shoe polish, which is for a beautiful pair of boots that I have. I hope you can see this all right. And it's just this kind of deep burgundy color, and I simply love it. So I'm just using a little dollar store sponge. And we're just going to ink these pages up really, really quickly. I might ink them up later with black too, but I just kind of like that little pinky theme that's going on with them. And just makes it a little bit easier to do them now as opposed to once they're in the book, especially if you don't want to smudge them too much. And I just like to do a little bit of my corners. We'll just give them a little bit of a little quick polish. Now I'm going to turn this page the other way so that I can get the spine in here too, because once it's sewn together, that will be a harder area to get. And sometimes you can decorate your whole page before you put your signatures together. It's a little bit more challenging, but depending on what kinds of embellishments you're doing, there, that I like. Okay, there's one. so now we will put our signatures together. Okay, so we are going to look at making taking all these little signatures now. We have 3, and we're going to now put them together and put them on a backing. So when you're putting your signatures together, before we work at binding the spine, what I do is I take these label pages that I will be using for the cover. They bend super great for a cover. And I just put my signatures in order, pretending that I have the cover made so I can make sure that as I'm flipping through, it has the look I want. So because I'm using this page for the cover, generally often what I will do is I will take the remaining page. So this will be my cover. This will be my inside page of the cover. So if I was opening my book, because they go together so well, it will look like this. And as you can see, that looks nice together. And then I just basically check, do I want that signature? Oh, that is kind of nice. That also looks very, very good. Yep, I think I'm going to switch it. This is now going to be my front cover. And I think that will be my back cover. So front cover, cover, first page, and then we're going to go through. And I know it doesn't look very exciting right now, but once we get everything in it, it will be absolutely lovely. And people always say, well, how do you see the back page? Well, there are lots of ways that this back page will show up. Okay, yep, I like it. I like it, I like it. Yeah, love that. Okay, yeah, these are working. Center, keep going. Yeah, okay, so I do this little tiny fast mini flip through, and I like that. And these will have things on them that will not make them look so similar. So they will definitely pop out, and they're great for writing on, just free flow journaling. We're going to make all these a little bit fancier. I like to make sure every page has the potential to write on if I wanted it to. Oh yeah, okay, I like it. And then, because this is my back cover, this will be my inside cover. And I do like that together. Okay, now that we have our signature order figured out, I'm going to take the covers away. And we are going to make our signatures. So for the beginning of making our signatures, we just need 2 pages of a heavy-duty, not heavy-duty, but like, you can hear that. It's a cardstock. It's a little bit heavier, and it's just junk, like it's literally junk. And what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 of the same size. And I do like to use my cover pages for this because I can tell, and I know I'm going to make it an inch span for the spine. So all I want to do, I'll just do one at a time, is I'm just going to take my spine, and because I have this curve, I'm not going to measure right from the very top and bottom. I'm actually going to slide down slightly because I want to have my spine end up showing up. Oops, I have an avalanche. I want to have my spine show up like this. See how it kind of is back a little bit? It's not right here. It joins here where the straight line begins. That's what we want for strength. So wherever the straight line begins, just eyeball it. It's not going to be terribly right or wrong. So I'm going to say pick there to about there for this particular book. And then I'm going to cut this. And there we go. It's pretty thick. There we go. There. That is just fine. And then I'm going to just measure my second one based off of the one I just did. So we have 2. Still thick. Okay, so now that we have these 2 guys, we're going to score them and make them into a bit of a sandwich. So what I do is, I don't have a fancy scoring table like everyone has, but I'm just gonna eyeball it because I know I want an inch. So, and I can see there's an inch right there. So all I'm gonna do is just eyeball it. I'm gonna use, this is actually for doing my nails, but it works great as a little scorer. This is for putting like dots on your nails and things, but I like it for this. And then I'm going to measure, and I mean, you can use a ruler. You could literally just take your ruler and do this instead of doing it on there, which is actually what I will do. There. It works just as good. There we go. And if you don't have this, use the end of a pen, use a pen cap. There are so many options that you can choose from. And then you just have to, we'll just score this little guy. And I'm going to use my little cheap folder here just to make this nice and crisp. I like crisp. But I got this from the dollar store. It works actually really good for bookbinding. It was so cheap. I think there was a set of 2. But if you don't have something like this, just use the back of a spoon. Anything will work. Now, where's my other one? There it is. We're just going to fold that one in too. There we go. It's scored. And this, I'm just going to move this out of the way. Now the second one we're going to do, and you can put, if you didn't want to put any covering or paper on your spine, just make sure that if you have a side that's just plain white, that's on the outside and inside, and then you don't have to do anything more with your binding. But if you want to cover it with actual design like I did, it doesn't matter then what's on the inside or the outside. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this guy and I'm just going to, oops, I'm going to take my big one. I'm just going to make my next design based on this design because I want this to fit inside of it, and one is going to be a little bit larger than the other because they're going to nest. So you can see right there, this one's going to end up having a little bit more than a 1-inch gap on the back, and same thing over here. I'm just going to score it. And I like those fancy tools. I think they're really cool, but sometimes it is faster just to do it like this. There we go. So now you can see I have 2 perfectly nesting spines. And we'll just make sure they're scored nicely. Oh, maybe I'll take my little scorer. I wish I had a spoon here so I could show you just how much I do use a spoon instead of this, but I happen to have this one. Okay, so we're going to put the outside one to the side for a moment. We're going to work with the inside one here. So what I do is I generally, because I have 3 signatures, I am going to divide my space just roughly into 1, 2, 3 lines. And we're going to mark it with our pencil. And that's not going to matter because we're never going to see it. So just ballpark. I know my center one is going to be in the center. So I'm just going to go, okay, center, center. Perfect. If you would like to measure, definitely do that. If you don't care, like me, just do this. I shouldn't say don't care. If you're not worried about it, just do what I'm doing. There we go. We'll mark another line. So if you had a larger book, like the one I showed you, the 3-inch one, which has 8 signatures in it, then you would, of course, divide your back spine into 8. So, and the reason I'm not super concerned about measuring is because your signatures are never going to be uniform with what you're putting in them. They're also going to just be a ballpark idea. Okay, so there we have that marked, and these are the lines that we are going to attach these signatures to. This does help. You don't have to do this. I don't do this really myself. I just pretty much hold them in place, but if it's your first time, definitely just grab a clip and just clip them. There are no rules of what you can and cannot do. So if this works for you, I'm going to clip the bottom too. And it's good to clip them when they're bent because that is really how you're going to be doing it. So you can either take a needle and pre-make your holes. Now this needle has definitely been through a lot with me, but I don't throw these things away. I just keep using them and using them. It'll break eventually and then I will have to, but now this little dollar store guy, this is where I do really like him because we are just going to ballpark a center and poke a hole there. And then there's lots of ways to sew this. You can do 5 holes, you can do 8 holes, you can do whatever. I do 3. It's very simple. For the size that my signatures are, this works amazing. And there, now I have my first pattern. So what I'm going to do with this is, let's see, which way will I want to do? Do I want to do all my holes? No, I don't think so. I'm just going to do them as I go. So I have this thread. I don't know what it is. There you go. Oh, it's outdoor upholstery thread. There we go. And I have used embroidery floss. I have used regular polyester thread. You can literally use whatever you like. This is what I happen to have. You can wax it as well if you want it to be a little bit more strong. I'm just going to take some and we're going to thread my gigantic needle. And I know some people say to use, oops, that did not work. Some people say to use a curved needle, which you definitely can. I've always used a straight, but I know curved are very, very good as well. And we're going to just go through, if you can see the center hole there. We're going to start in the middle of our signature and poke our needle through. Now, before we do that, we're also going to mark on our center here as well. I just about forgot to do this, but we will do it right now. We're just going to mark our holes here. 1, 2, 3. And we are also going to pre-make our holes right here as well. 1, 2, 3. And I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this already. There we go. So now let's go through the middle hole right here. There we go. And we're also going to go through the middle hole here. And I apologize for the shakiness, everyone. As I mentioned before, I have spinal cord damage on my hands from my spine, C6, 7, and 8, which was damaged in a diving accident when I was 15. So I will try to be as unshaky as I can. And there we just go right back in the back hole here. I like to get it in there first, and then I stick it in the next signature hole. It is not nearly as complicated as what it seems. And if you're not a sewer, do not worry about it. You just want to leave a little tail from this inside section. We're going to skip this hole and go right to the end, and we are going to go out the top. How are we doing here for you? Oh yeah, that's looking good. And then we're going to come back in this side. There we go. Come back in. Don't worry, see how it's all loose? That really doesn't matter with this type of stitching. We just want to make sure we can tighten that all up later. There, you just give it a, oops, sorry. There. Now, we're just going to give this, now it's all stitched perfectly. We're just going to give these a little tug. There, look how good that looks. Lay them flat so that they're tight. And we are going to tie this off. We're going to go one way, and then we're going to go the opposite way. Or did I go that way? Yeah, the opposite way. There we go. And actually, what I like to do, I kind of missed it, but I like to grab this little thread here just to make sure it is part of it. Let's do that little knot again. You do not even notice these little guys. There, and then once the other way. There. So that's much, much better. Now I cut these pretty short. I make sure they are very tight though. And then I cut these pretty short. And then I put a tiny dab of glue here. And I do like this Tombow aqua glue. I don't use that much of it because I use my glue stick for almost everything. But on this little guy, just so these knots don't come out, I just do a tiny little dab there, and it dries very fast. Meanwhile, I can take my paper clips off. These paper clips work great if you're having a signature with, say, 8 pages in them, which is, or 6 or more. This one is a 4-page, which will be just fine. And there you go. As you can see, we're beginning to get our spine put together. So we're going to go ahead now. I'm going to go ahead and add the other 2 signatures on here, and then we'll look at attaching this to our cover. One thing that is really important is to make sure that your signatures are the right way in your book that you want them to go, because I have put a book together before where my signatures were not correct. And some of my pages ended up being upside down, which was fine because I covered them with pockets and things, but it's always nicer if you don't have to have that. So there's one, there's one, there's one. Now I do try to get these holes on our next ones the same, and just so they don't move, let's do this again. My center page is there. Okay, let's just give him a paper clip. Let's give this guy a paper clip. All right, now I am going to just take a peek. It's right there. If you wanted to, you could literally move your signatures backwards like this and make your marks this way. I'm a sewer, so I do it the other way, but this is actually kind of nice for you if you are not a sewer and you really, once you have your signature held, you can bend it slightly backwards like that. Okay, so we're just gonna close our book and pop our little, there it is, close, pop. There it is, close, pop. There it is, close, pop. Okay. Same thing on this guy. We're going to put our signature where we want exactly, and it should be pretty similar to the last one, of course, because that's how we want our book to be. There we go. And do I have enough thread to make another one? I don't think so. generally they say I think you should have 2 times the width of the length of your signature, but I'm going to take a bit more so that I hopefully have enough for my last signature as well. There we go. Now, let's make sure we hang on to the tail. There we go. We want the tail in there. We'll pop. Oh, gotta make my holes here as well. You don't have to make the holes ahead of time. I just like to because I don't have very strong hands, and that makes it, for me, much easier to control. But you could just, if you're a powerhouse with your fingers, you can just push your needle right through. There we go. There we go. Let's just make sure I have a nice tail. I'm going to make sure it's a little bit longer. There. And I often do not remember if I went through the top or bottom when I'm doing my signatures, so it really doesn't matter with this method. I get them turned around all the time. The main thing is that you're going through the center first, then the outsides, and then coming back through the center. There we go. Because we can tighten it all up at the end. There's no need to worry about it. There, that's good. Let's get it through here. Whoop. You could paper clip this guy up as well, out of your way. If you're having lots of signatures, that is a really good way to do it. And we'll come up in the middle. And then we're going to go back through the center here. There we go. It's all looking good. There. And I'm going to make sure my needle is on the other side. There. And then we can tighten them all up nicely. Let's just see where my extra thread is. Oh, it just needs to have some help coming through. Okay, thread, where are you? Which one are you? Ah, there you are. Voila. Okay, so we have there. So if you just pull your ends, it should tighten it up really nicely. Just gonna hold it and look. Yes, look how good that is. Let's look at the back. Beautiful. Okay, tie it in a knot. And there we go. And then a backwards knot the other way. Forgive me, my fingers go very slow. I can't always feel things. There. And that's pretty much just 2 knots is what I do. I did more on the other one because I forgot to loop it around. And hey, that's like how journaling is. We sometimes forget things, and that's okay. Now I'm just going to hit this with a smidgy of glue. And you do not see these later. And I picked a taupe, which actually is blending in really nice for thread color, but you don't have to. You can choose that to be part of your design as well. Okay, so now you can see we have added 2 signatures. And I know it looks wimpy and floppy, but by the time you get your pockets in and everything, it is going to thicken up. I mean, this journal that I'm making here is only half done, and when it's finished it's going to probably be thick like a grandma's cookbook. So do not make your spines too tight or you won't be able to do what you want to do with them. All right, exciting. Here's the last page. Let's just bring that one down a little bit. There we go. Now let's just see if this white page is where I want it. It's close. There we go. Good. Okay, so now our signatures are all sewn on to the inner spine, and you can easily flip through your signatures now and see that they open flat. They are fantastic. They just look so, so good. And there they are. And I love these signatures that open flat like this because, as I said, I do a lot of writing, so I love to be able to accomplish everything with my one journal. And I was not putting a colored print on the inside of this journal, so I didn't. But if you wanted to, you could glue a paper inside this whole entire inner section before you sew your signatures on too. Now, we are going to take and put our outer spine now on our inner signatures. So I do this a couple of ways. I like to have my signatures adhered a few different ways. So I am going to just add a couple of double-sided tape. If you don't have this, do not worry. You definitely do not need this. And I'm just going to do just one or two in a couple of key places on each section. I am going to glue this as well, but this is just to give it an immediate hold, but it's not necessary. I've done them, oops. I've done them before without the double-sided tape as well, so it is not a 100% needed thing. Oh, that tape's gonna have to get flattened. There we go. I'm just gonna cut that off. We'll just stick you down here, I guess. So I am now going to use just my regular old glue stick. There we go. And I'm going to make sure it's got lots of good coatings between these. Oops, I'm using a lot. Between these little guys. I want this to be just a beautiful solid spine. And I even think I will put some on the edges. There we go. We'll put some on here and on here. There. And of course, I will also be doing this Tombow glue just on my very, very outside edges because I like this to stick and look really nice from the outside, and you do not need a lot of this glue. It is really, really fabulous. I did order this on Amazon. There we go. There. Now we're going to glue in our lovely new spine, and we're just going to stick it in there like so. There. We're just going to fold it, make sure that it folds up around just exactly good. So what I love also about this kind of a spine is that you can bend it this way to adhere. Then you can fold everything the other way and bend it this way. Now, as you're getting your spine put together, see how nicely it fits. If you have any tiny little pockets that are showing up, just use your Tombow glue and just go right in there with a little extra. because we want these edges to look really, oops, there we go. We want these edges to look really, really good. So I just go in and I pinch this all lovely. There, see how nice that's looking, and make sure that these edges are nice and flat. There, see how pretty that looks for a spine? Oh, right there is a little section I need. As you are fitting your spines, your two spines together, your glue might have dried if you just had a little bit, and that's okay. Just add a bit more. There, see how beautiful that is? Now we are going to take this and add on our cover. So now that our spine is glued to our signatures, or our signatures are glued to our spine, I'm going to decorate the outside edge of my spine so that it looks cohesive with the covers. And I'm going to pick this, which is one of the tutorials that we created last week. And I'm just going to take a selection of this. Probably I'll just go right to the edge here. I want it to overlap a tiny bit. And let's see, we'll go from there. Right there will be my edge. So I'm going to go there. And I'm going to go to there. Okay. I'll just give this a little trim. Trim down here, and if it's a little bit more, I can always just use my scissors and trim it off. There we go. So this is what I love these labels for, because this is so easy to just take, and I'm using one hand. Normally I would not be, but I'm going to line up. Oops, is that the way I want it? Yes, it is. Haha, I've made this mistake once before. I'm just going to lay my page slightly over top. There, it was perfect. There we go. So it's slightly over on both sides. I guess I could have done it this way. Haha. Okay, and then we're going to fold this around and just stick this paper down around your curved edge here. And it doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not. There, it will stick. And I will show you why it doesn't matter. There we go. So that side is, see how nice that's looking already? Now let's do this side. There we go. And there we go. Oh, I've even put it on crooked and I made it anyways. There. There we go. There. So now our spine goes this way. Now our spine is done. Look how beautiful that turned out. I absolutely love it. Okay, next. Actually, yeah, I want the flower there, so that's it. I probably will cover up my little upside down writing because I really like the flower at the bottom, just because of where this flower is going to go. I think it's going to be pretty. So let's just let this dry a smidgy on the inside. Let's let this just sit for a moment. We'll put it to the side, and let's get our front cover. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to, wow, this is so fun, put on our front cover. And sometimes if I don't have enough to cover all the way, I don't worry about it, because I will be adding something else to it later. So I'm going to decide, do I want it to be like this? Yeah, I think so. Probably there. So I'm going to line it up there. I think I want it exactly centered. There. Ta-da! There, that's the front cover. We are just going to trim that off now. Yeah, I'll go this way. Oops, yep, that way was better. And it doesn't matter if it's jaggedy because we will deal with that later. And this is just getting the base of your cover done. And then of course we can add more embellishments and decorate it more later. But I just love that we are recycling, reusing, and making these into something absolutely beautiful. Okay, so that is the front cover. Now, oh, this is going to be so pretty, and I will decorate it more. But as you can see, that is going to get glued in to the inside cover. So let's do that now. We're not going to put our inside page in yet because we want this to glue here like this. And then we're going to take this page and cover it all. So let's glue this in right now. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of tape here to just hold. Whoop. There we go. And I think I will just stick it in the middle here. And we'll grab our glue stick. I'm going to put our glue stick, let's see, just a lot of it here. So we're going to put a lot of glue stick on here. And of course, we're going to also add our little edging of the Tombow. There we go. And it doesn't really matter which way you put your cover on. I like to kind of line it up this way so that I can see, whoops, what's happening. Actually, we'll do it backwards so that you can see and I can see. And I just try to line it up as good as I can. And because I have a small overlap, it does not matter. Yeah, I'm going to have it have a little bit more overlap even. Right to there, I think. Yeah, just so that I can see the line. I like that a lot. Now, if you want to ink your cover ahead of time, you definitely can do that. I'm just going to push my cover and my spine seal down. I'm going to add a little buffer so that my glue does not get on my signatures if there's any sticking out, and I'm just going to let that dry. But as you can see, it's starting to look pretty beautiful, and that is going to be the beginning of our book page. Oh, I do want to slide this guy back a smidge, which I can. There we go. Yeah, and you can lift it and reposition it a couple times if you want to. That is the beauty of this. It doesn't dry super fast, but I think it's gorgeous. So let's let it dry and then we'll do the back. Okay, so now that our cover is dry, let's add the inside section of our cover, which is right here. And we again are just going to peel this right off. That is so easy. And I think I'm going to put this so that it covers over this spine tab. Your journal might need to, there. I'm just going to set it up a tiny bit. So I think I don't mind if it overlaps. Now you could glue a page on here as well. It does not have to be a label. That is just something I really enjoy doing. And I like the collage page because it does hide there. That's easier. And I just make sure it's down very well everywhere. Lift it off my table. There we go. Now let's trim that up a little bit. Move you out of the way. Just make sure it's down on every area. There we go. It's so easy using this board to be able to trim and measure. Now let's go this way now. Oh, no, let's go. Just gonna cut my little edge off right there. There we go. I might have to re-stick a tiny bit, and that is okay. And if it's a little bit of a jaggedy cut, it's completely fine because we can sand it off again a little bit later. There. So now we have a board. There we go. So there it is. There's our cover. And we would do the same thing with our back cover. There's our inside cover. And of course, I'm going to decorate this up as well. But this just shows you how to attach your spine and all your pages to get a nice book that you can actually use. There it is. So here is the final version. This is the front cover, the spine, and with the back page on. Look how beautiful that looks. And then when you open it, it lays perfectly flat, and it looks so beautiful together with all the signatures. And you can now put in your pockets, your embellishments, and start decorating every page and make it beautiful. There, look how beautiful that looks. Now, the cover is still a little bit stiff from just being glued, but once you have your embellishments in, it will push it down and hold it. And yeah, look how great that is. Both covers are in so well. The spine looks really, really good. And of course, you can finish decorating the outsides of your cover as well. And I think it turned out really cute. Now, it looks very skinny right now, but just remember, you're going to be putting a lot of stuff in here, and it will thicken it up, and it won't make it be one of these puff journals. It will just end up being a nice full journal like this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you want to know how to make digital pages work for you for making easy journals like this, just visit last week's tutorial. And if you need some digital pages that are good quality that you can use for creating more and more and more pages with what you have, there is a sale on for 99 cents at my store, Bohemia Inspirations, where you can grab some of these digital printable pages that you can use at home. If you liked today's video, please like and subscribe. And as always, happy journaling.